You lick your lips every time you know you're going to see him play. Good crowd in here. Critical clash, and we're underway. Nat Nui and McAvoy. Jones going nowhere.
Well, we heard Ross Lyon talking about what might happen with Sam Fisher, but Sam Fisher is picking up Quentin Lynch. So he's probably not going to have the freedom to sweep and rebound the way he normally does.
And Nui punted to Prittis, but he left it behind, and that allowed Milne to get a possession, but Schneider this time going nowhere.
And the other matchup early, Jace, Del Santo, Scott Selwood is the one going to him early in the game.
Fisher electing to play a few metres in front of Lynch at the moment. Nat Nui the flick back to Shuey, and then try to get his own clearance. Peak tied up. A few stalemates to start this one, but it kind of reflects the importance of the contest. Two teams who do pride themselves on their defence. No room to ball it up, so he threw it in the air. Couldn't bounce. Umpires tonight: Michael Vozzo, Luke Farmer, Shane Stewart. Here's this flick back.
So it's happened, isn't it? Didn't quite get the bounce, Luke Shuey, but he's developing into a top-line ruckman.
Yes, well, they're starting him and not Cox in the ruck these days, so that gives you an indication as to how good he is. Gee, Farron Ray dumped into the turf, and that's ball. Umpire said he had prior.
Yeah, Waters straight back into it, Jace.
That's the sort of aggression you like to see from the vice-captain.
First game since round 2 for Beau Waters. Long to half forward. Clark. Shuey. He ran into that tackle and ran into a high one. And what a star he's been this year. Chance to win the NAB Rising Star Award. Luke Shuey. Darling and other ones have been nominated for the West Coast Eagles. Some good new players. Andrew Gaff also playing tonight, not nominated yet this year. But this guy, amongst all of the West Coast Eagles players, one of the favourites to win it. And that was horrendous. Lacroix tries the tap down. Crowd's found some voice here. They want a Saints free. And they get it. Quick hand out to Montagna. Hugs the boundary. Kick a little too strong. Rewalt attacks it.
In the end, that's a good result for St Kilda. They're outnumbered 3 against 2. They get to set up for a stoppage here. Another interesting matchup's Matt Rosa on Stephen Milne. Now, it's OK when Milne's up in the middle of the ground. I wonder if that'll continue when he goes forward.
Goddard just got it away to Peake, who tried to give it back. Rosa, the man you spoke of, he handed that to Nat Nui, to Gaff, to Rosa. Pops it in Kennedy's direction. Dawson with him in a 2-on-1 with Gilbert. They almost combined to mess it up. Graham in a 1-2 with Gilbert. And now Gamble coming off his best game for the club last week. 4 goals against the Cats. With a good addition, Gamble. Schneider wide. Dwelt. And then gave it straight back. Although it'll be a downfield free. That was going to be an easy mark and return for Glass. It's now a Saints ball to raise. Montagna pokes it, and Milne on the end of it.
Well, now that he's gone forward, it's Adam Selwood that's got the job on him. But you spoke about James Gwilt as being the inside 50 king. It didn't quite go inside 50, but it was a long kick heading towards the 50-metre arc. Have a look at this for a...
Let's be honest there, Jace. They were very lucky there. There was nothing in that.
That's an ordinary 50-metre penalty.
Absolutely nothing in it.
Well, Saints started last week with a free kick before the siren, the opening siren. And they get one just after the siren here through a fortuitous free as well.
Well, Jace, you mentioned that matchup with Stephen Milne. Adam Selwood is the one who's looking for him when he does certainly push forward.
Yep.
But on that occasion, he was able to get forward, then double back on the lead. And look, we see here this 50-metre penalty, or a downfield free kick, as they do call it, reasonably soft. And you see Milne's lead at the bottom of screen there, pushing back, very smart, coming back, and then nailing a very good goal.
I know many people do dislike Stephen Milne, but it's hard not to love him. He's been such a great player for the Saints over time, despite the fact that he antagonises many. And he's quick off the square here, lays a tackle on Selwood, and hassles the ball away from a couple of Eagles on cue. Comes out to Kosicki. If you're wondering why he's in the team, he was a late inclusion. Clark takes some time and caught. Got a legal handball to Del Santo. Montagna. Polo. Held up. Puts it up long. And well protected. Waters takes an easy mark in the end. Gaff.
Something they've done well in recent weeks, the Saints, though. They've got out of the blocks. They've kicked early goals to get themselves up and running.
Clark might jump from 4 deep. Let it slip through his grasp, though. Quentin Lynch dived in. It came up from Scott Seward to Waters. Lacroix. Darling couldn't grab it. Glass. Put his head down and went and got it. Gets it out to Ebert. Had the handball option in Pritis, but turned it over to Gwilt with the kick. And he has been in great form in the last month. Brad Johnson touched on it in the opener. He's been their best inside 50 man in the last month or so. Gwilt gives the gamble. He almost turns it over. Rosa with a thump. Boundary line looming. Peak right with him. You can argue who won that.
It's actually quite good work by Rosa. Peak had him on the bit. The kick sat up a little bit, and to work over and then create this stoppage is a win for West Coast. They love this part of the ground.
So Kosicki and Cox now into the ruck. Del Santo played for that. One of the Saints that is in hot form, coming off a 36 possession game last week. Nick Del Santo, he gets his first rest of the evening.
Well, we know that they press well, the West Coast. We know they give you win the hard footy, but at the moment the uncontested possession 18-6 in favour of the Saints.
Cox jumped on by Kosicki accidentally, but you can argue it was in the side slightly.
They do have a loose in defence, the Saints. It's Sam Gilbert at the moment. They normally like it to be Sam Fisher, but it's Sam Gilbert, and you've got Waters free at the other end for West Coast.
Well, they'll be trying to get Hearn to be the free player, but they're not having a bar of that, St.Kilda.
Kicks to the pocket, Kennedy. He was tunnelled, bumped out of that a little. Nat Nui goes down, gets it. Look away handball, didn't quite work. Clark. Peak. Tucked up against the line, left foot, not his best. McKenzie tracks it, gets there. Slick hands to Shuey. Adam Selwood. Rosa, he's got some space. Couldn't quite hit the target. Quentin Lynch. Gilbert trapped it, sent it back. Peak hassled off it. Adam Selwood almost the second grade mark. Drags it in a hurry to get it out again.
Well, Peak's dived on this now. And I think the umpire had a good look at that as to whether to ping him or not. In the end, decided to ball it up. Just haven't used the ball particularly well early, West Coast. Not hitting the targets.
Goddard weighted down for that, palm down. Montagna. Jones. Polo. Goddard got his arms free. Kosicki, Graham, so it works for them. Schneider in some space. He can get and go. Thinks about the goals himself. Continues to think about it. Gaff. Now Clark needs to go for it from 45. And the crowd goes high.
Well, a great start by St Kilda Football Club. They need to get off to a flyer tonight, and great kick, great change of direction, and Schneider certainly read that very, very well. In the end, was quite patient, tried to get back on his left foot, and Raf Clark started the game very well. He's had 4 disposals already, now kicked the goal, and has been quite proactive in the early part of this game, getting off his man from the half-back line.
An interesting matchup. He's on Mark Lacroix at the moment, Raf Clark, so that's a very attacking move by the Saints, having Raf Clark a rebounding half-back on a guy that can be a potential match winner in Mark Lacroix.
Flick back from Cox. With toe out of the middle, Gamble attacks it hard. Schofield. Nowhere to go. Lacroix will do.
If you want to see how to set up a goal from clearance, that last bit of play by St Kilda, that stoppage was sensational.
It was great to see the Saints fans go up. All got out of their seats for one of their whipping boys. Kicking a goal, Raf Clark. They give it to him so often. Cox. Milne. And he didn't really have eyes on the ball, Willie. Simply didn't have eyes on the ball and gives the free away.
And this is where West Coast need to change the angles with their kicks if they can. Get it back on the 45, because St Kilda set up all down the line with their loose.
McAvoy stands under it. That was crashed. Kennedy took a few out. Goddard, he waited and then hit Rewalt on the run. Graham, now he's got no one to go too long. Needs to hold this up for a while. Ray pops it wide. Good option. Dempster. And he waits for Rewalt and Kaczynski. They're both inside 50 now.
Yeah, Rewalt's on Ashley Smith, and that's where he's trying to get it.
Okay, he puts it up high. Rewalt got a hand to it. Glass likewise. Rewalt driven into the deck. Crowd roared for an umpire. Didn't think it was there. McKenzie and Rosa. Nat Nui and Wilt in international or multicultural round. One from Fijian descent, the other from Papua New Guinean descent. James Gwilt head-to-head.
Sam Fisher's come off after that last big heavy clash in the half-forward flank, or half-back flank for St Kilda. He's living around the boundary line at the moment, so it's not great news for the Saints.
See him holding the top of his glute.
He may have got one of those knees in the spot that really stings.
Smith across the defensive goal. They've got the numbers here, the West Coast. Adam Selwood. Plenty of time to spend it. Not the best of kicks, although Darling might make it okay. And just pumps it to the hot spot, and playing in front is position at 1A, and the mark taken by Kennedy.
Yeah, Dawson's got the job on Kennedy, and like a smart 40 played in front. It didn't look a pretty kick from Adam Selwood, but it was a clever kick because he had a long look and there wasn't much on. There were some St Kilda players getting back in space, and all he did was find the one little pocket of space out wide on the flank where he knew that a teammate could run onto it in Darling. He got the quick kick forward, and that's resulted in Kennedy having the shot for goal.
We haven't seen his run up before. It's proof that it doesn't matter how, it just matters how many. And he kicks quite a few. Can't squeeze that in.
And they need a goal just to settle, West Coast, just to get themselves. We can see Sam Fisher being worked on. He's copped it. Oh, it might have been a friendly fire in the end that really took him to ground. Zach Dawson coming over the top.
And Dawson's boot landed in exactly the same spot as well. I think he's copped a double one in the same area.
Del Santo to Gwilt.
Giving away plenty of height, James Gwilt, when the talls are down there. Cox or Nat Nui stationed forward. Gwilt's the man with that job.
Montagna. Now Gamble should go here. He does with a fierce Selwood.
Oh, you've got to pay man in front. You have to
looked
pay
like he
man in
marked it.
front, please.
Milne cuts him no slack.
That's exactly what he asked to the umpire then, Jace. I was in front.
The umpire just said it went through your hands.
Oh, please. That's man in front all day.
Shuey, kick smothered. Schofield sold the dummy. Nat Nui, Scott Selwood to the pocket again over Kennedy's head. Dawson, little fumble between the legs, didn't win a free. Clark gets ball. Goddard gets tackled. Got it away, but even. Gathers on 50. Lacroix, he ducked into Stephen and then threw that away. One-handed handball. Got away with it. Clark, Del Santo, Polo, Montagna, Stephen, Milne. Dances his way through traffic. Graham almost turned it over. Dempster, Schneider, all get a piece of it. He's done. Slick action at the moment. Umpire Vozzo right on the spot. Ball up.
Well, we know the most difficult thing to do is to break down a good press with handballs, because eventually a loopy one just holds the player up and he gets run down, and that's what happened there. You've got to be so precise with hands.
Embley almost tackled as he collected it. Peak. Untidy kick. Schneider did brilliantly there. Peak to Graham, Dempster, and now Montagna. A lot of traffic. Hard to get a possession cleanly at the moment. Gaff knocks that down well. Del Santo and Gaff dive in. Del Santo out to Peak, but once again he can't extract a kick. Nikoski does. Gilbert, the loose man in defence. Kennedy tracks it down. Oh, Darling wanted one of them and then jumped out of the way in the end. Knew he might have killed one. Polo gets it wide. It's a good game to watch at the moment. Milne, untidy but effective here if Montagna can run onto it. Finally some space. Clark wants Graham. Ray jumped in front of him. Pokes it. Del Santo scooped it up and almost 50. Sends it long. And Kazitsky in the spot.
He ran from half-back. He led back on the wing for the Montagna kick that ended up coming inboard. He kept going. He's run 130 metres and been rewarded for the effort. Justin Kazitsky and Nick Naitanui just got a body check from one of Kazitsky's teammates, which gave him that 5-metre break. But the man that's letting West Coast down at the moment is Mark LaCroix. He's not being accountable for Ralph Clark when he rebounds.
So if he joined us late, Justin Kazitsky replaced Tom Lynch in the selected 22. And he drives it through. Hot start for the Saints.
Certainly is a hot start for the Saints. You're right there, Dwayne. And we have a look here. This is Darling down the other end of the ground. Nice pirouette jacks in mid-air.
Well, he would have had his legs taken out from under him, so it actually wasn't a bad move in the end for self-preservation.
Then the ball did go down the other end. Stephen Milne was able to switch it. And St Kilda's change of direction is what allowed Kazitsky to get on the end of that one.
Wasn't even initially on the emergencies list, Justin Kazitsky. They brought him onto that list late. They brought him onto that list, I think, after the West Coast had travelled with their squad. Cox, kick smothered. Del Santo, another clearance. Ray, and he pumps it. 75. McAvoy this time. Glass with the fist. Gamble with the collect. Caught. Schofield got him. Polo to Montagna. Centering ball. Good ball. And Kazitsky takes the mark. 45 out this time.
Oh, isn't he making his presence felt? Justin Kazitsky in the space of a couple of minutes. He's got the ability to kick his second goal now. And he kicked the first one working off Nick Naitanui. This one working off Dean Cox. So he's being aggressive. He's running hard forward when the Saints getting the ball. And more importantly, putting himself in the right spots, and his teammates are finding him. This kick from Lee Montagna is a beauty. He sums it up perfectly.
Kazitsky working hard. Shanks that a little, but it feeds its way back with perfection.
Well, you mentioned Montagna in that piece of play, Jason, and we see here the good spoil by Glass, and St Kilda obviously got first numbers to the ball. Ball ends up in Montagna's hands with a great kick into Kazitsky. But in the first 16 minutes of play, 17 minutes have ticked over now, he's had 10 disposals, Montagna. That's something where West Coast will certainly need to have a close look at his direct matchup, because his influence has been very, very good.
Well, he's fresh. Just his 6th game of 2011. Justin Kazitsky. He's already got 2 goals.
I think the most pleasing thing about that is he's got him out of the ruck. So he's going to make the West Coast ruckman in really good form. Start thinking a little bit about when he pushes forward.
Graham, Fisher. Good to see Fisher there. Peake and Clark combined. And now Dempster. Saints fans fighting full voice at the moment. Their team is in full cry. Revolt. Jones. Not sure what Schofield was trying to do there, but it didn't really work, although Shuey gets a free, so it did work.
It was very nearly a throw.
Rosa, half volley. Embley all the way back to fullback to get a touch to Glass. Adam Selwood sits a little. 23-point margin.
Good lead and good kick from Selwood. He does present well, Jack Darling.
That's a little dangerous, although see what Revolt does. Crunch. That's a splendid tackle, Nick Revolt. Kazitsky back to Revolt. Can he get the full reward? Montagna keeps it low. Adam Selwood attacked it. Got them out of a spot of bother there. Rolls it toward the boundary. Jones hunts it. Shuey content to see it out.
St Kilda's pressure that's doing the job on West Coast at the moment. A lot of people might have expected it to be the other way around, but that's a fantastic tackle from Nick Revolt.
Cox dropped it down. McAvoy got the clearance from the contest. Montagna again. Went for Peake. Ebert got a toe on it. Knocked it inside 50. Even again. Now, there could be a free here. And it's going against Milne. He had hold of Rosa for too long. Ticked into time on opening term. Gaff. West Coast Eagles still without a goal. Critis. Lacroix. Pops it to Cox. He's moving through half forward. He gives it up. Shuey just gets it on the boot. Gilbert with the fist knocks it down. West Coast had the numbers, had the fist not found a target. And Del Santo can give them run. There's Schneider to Peak. Here they go again, although Peak couldn't quite find Schneider.
Dived on it.
Yep, and he could be gone. He doesn't get it out. He is gone. This is an amazing start from the Saints. Both these teams have come into this with hot form. West Coast have won the past 5. Saints have won the past 2.
Well, 4 players that have come into the game in really hot form. McCoskey 1 touch, Embley 1 touch, Lynch 1 touch, Hearn no touches.
Yeah, good point, Pickers. Peak, speaking of hot form, gave footy away for a whole year as a 16-year-old because he'd rather surf than play footy, but he's changed his mind in the last 6 months.
The inside 50 specialist handballed at that time.
He did kick it in.
Waters rolls out. Kazitsky, Stevens with some space to use. They've got another.
This is not unlike St Kilda in recent weeks. They've been bursting out of the blocks, kicking good goals in the first term and really putting opposition sides under pressure. Now, the one thing West Coast know is St Kilda don't, as a general rule, kick massive scores. So they've got to try and weather the storm. They've just got to slow things down, lift their pressure, because it's allowing St Kilda too much time at the moment. They're making the most of it. They've just got to get themselves in the contest, West Coast.
Jack Stephen, his last month of footy has been very good, coming into some really good form.
Yeah, and another contender for the NAB Rising Star. He's been nominated even though this is his 4th season. Polo, he pumps it. Revolt in a one-on-one, half dragged down.
He's paid a free kick.
He was fully dragged down according to the umpire. And this for a 6-goal-0 start.
Well, this is just one-way traffic at the moment. I'd like to have a look at the replay. It was a good body-on-body contest. McKenzie not happy with the decision, but I don't know too many backmen that are when they get picked. It's an important kick for Nick Revolt. Now, he's worked hard and he's only had the 3 hand passes. Needs to kick truly.
Oh, no. Well, if you're a West Coast fan watching at home, oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's a let-off. That is a big let-off.
Because he threatens still Nick Revolt to be the best player in the game, but just can't quite get there. Rosa. And that's horrendous.
Well, they're kicking at 69%. It was 50% early. They've lifted it to 69 West Coast, but kicks like that won't help them.
Goddard.
Just not getting enough of the ball, Jace.
No. And the Saints, who are getting plenty of the ball, are also kicking at 80%. And that's an exceptional level.
Fisher.
And I think some of that due to the lack of pressure from the West Coast Eagles.
Peak. Well attacked by Schofield. Ball still alive. Scott Selwood dragged down. Didn't have prior opportunity. Ball up.
I've just seen the disposals, Dwayne. 57 to 104. St Kilda's way. That's just an absolute dominance.
Dangerous couple of minutes coming up here for the West Coast. Need to stop the bleeding. Goddard. They all dive in. Ball not coming out. The Saints are turning the clock back a bit here. Not only for themselves, but for the West Coast. This is 2nd on the ladder from last year. They're up against 16th from last year. And it's kind of last year's form. Polo. Goddard. Montagna. Rewalk caught behind. Gambled. Couldn't take the mark. Critis. Selwood. Waters knocked out of it. Polo. He attacks it. Gives it up to Clark. Rewalk's on the move. Should get it.
Well, it's one of the best quarters of footy I've seen Ralph Clark play. He's rebounded beautifully. He's used the ball well. He's kicked the goal. He's had 9 possessions. Lee Montagna's the only one with more. He's had 14, mind you. But Raf Clark's second best with 9 possessions, a goal, now an inside 50 that's hit the target. Can Nick Riewoldt improve on that performance a moment ago where he hit the post?
Shorter run-up too, I reckon.
Oh, my goodness. It's getting worse.
Did not go back far enough.
Gamble spins it around the body. That was all part of the plan.
Well, he would be horrified right now, John Worsfold. The fact that Nick Riewoldt kicks into the man on the mark, and they've still, St Kilda, got front spot, got the numbers that are entitled to get the loose ball and kick a goal when it really should be mopped up by superior West Coast numbers in the defensive 50. Albeit a pretty average bounce for a couple of West Coast players, but Ryan Gamble making the most of it. Well, there are certain ways to celebrate. Normally you like to celebrate on your own. Nick Riewoldt's poleaxed Ryan Gamble after he's kicked that goal. He virtually shirt fronted him and knocked him to the ground.
Yeah, it's all been played on St Kilda's terms at the moment. Loose players in defence, winning the stoppages.
They're not done for the quarter just yet. Schneider tried to thread one through. Cox, Prittis, Clark. Jason said having a good quarter, couldn't trap that. Does bump Nikoski on the kick. Ball back alive. Clark back in to Gamble. Hassled off it. An outstanding performance so far from the Saints. A minute from quarter time. They're about to reload. McAvoy, Del Sando, Ray, Stephen.
And this is what suits the Saints as they tip it around now. They'll go to Fisher. You're going to see Dawson get involved here. Quilt's free now because West Coast have to throw so many numbers behind the ball to stop the bleeding.
Dangerous kick.
Dawson sat it a bit on McAvoy. Kicked off the deck by Graham. Cox helping in defence. Boundary line if he wants it. He wanted Glass. He's got the boundary if he wants it. Waters down to 25 seconds. McAvoy. One last chance maybe for the Saints. Although back to Quilt. Wants to come to the open side. Montagna.
Someone feel free to pick this guy up at some point.
15 possessions.
Del Sando. Gilbert. Montagna. And they're just taking the seconds off the clock. Can you believe it? The Saints' resurrection may be about to continue before your very eyes. 6-1-37 for the West Coast, one behind at quarter time.
Basics to make sure you're hitting every little facet of the game at 100%.
Certainly, and 36 points down. They'd like to be half-time, maybe 24 down.
Yeah.
Second term underway. Montagna gets the clearance and caught high. It'll be a downfield free.
Just his 18th touch in a quarter and 1 second.
He copped a whack to the shoulder too, a little bit ginger there. He got bumped by Embley after that, but the kick's gone against Glass for hanging on to Ryan Gamble.
Okay. So it wasn't downfield. 36 points the margin, and Ryan Gamble had his best game for the club last week with 4 goals in their victory against Port Adelaide. A chance to punch the lead out to 42. Strikes it well. Magnificent.
That's just the worst possible start for the West Coast Eagles. They've kicked another one inside 30 seconds. Lee Montagna is running rampant. Coming off half-back, whether it's half-back or in the middle of the ground, he has got the ball on a string. On this occasion, he gets it forward. He gets a bump from Embley. But the ball's gone further afield, and the forwards are doing the job. Ryan Gamble doing what he has to do, and that's convert when the opportunity presents itself.
Well, Rose is Montagna's direct opponent at present. Adam Selwood on Milne. They may have to have a look at that just to try and stop the influence of Montagna.
Cox gets his own clearance to half forward. Darling, Wilt, Prentice slips it up. Lynch heads it wide. Rosa to the square. Lacrosse down there. Doesn't bounce kindly for him. Dempster attacks it, can rush it. He elects not to. That's how well they're going. Gilbert to Montagna. That's possession number 19. Wilt, Gilbert could give it to Montagna for number 20.
Oh.
He gives it to Cox.
Strange kick.
Caught by Milne, got his arms free. Dempster will turn over. Goddard. And now Pete can get and go. Gamble. Inside to Graham. Back to Peake. Glass is chasing him. Peake goes for goal from 50 to the goal square. Fisted away from Rewalt. Montagna is everywhere. Couldn't quite grab that. Selwood got there first, but it might be coming back. McAvoy to Goddard. Pops it. Peake.
They're at 6s and 7s. The Eagles' defence at the moment. I don't know which space to fill. The press is certainly being opened up by the relentless pressure from the Saints.
Gamble might need to jump. Cox too strong, too tall.
What's really noticeable ground level is the work rate of the St Kilda players. Both ends of the ground as well.
Yeah, they're working harder. They're more desperate at the 50-50 contests. You mentioned they're too tall, too strong. Dean Cox, well, he wasn't a moment ago in the centre square. He was tackled by Stephen Milne and forced to turn the ball over, and you just don't expect that.
And Nui rises. And to reach on Gwilt. Poor handball.
Yeah.
Hearn. And that could be out on the full.
And that pretty much explains the way the Eagles have started this match. They are just not on. And the most important thing for St Kilda is to take advantage of it. And they've got to try and sew this game up before half-time.
Hits the attacking 50. Milne kind of ran past it. Nat Nui. Smith. Caught by Milne. Dragged down. Gamble again. Rewalt wrapped up in a one-on-one. Almost. Peake. Dempster. And Cox is in the spot again. Gamble makes a contest at least. Through for a behind.
Well, that's inferred pressure.
Oh.
Self-Falcon. But he had plenty of time and he fumbled. He wanted to spend it before he got it.
Selwood to Gaff.
As soon as they get the ball, they're expecting pressure from the Saints.
He joined us late. Two subs, Kobe Stevens for the West Coast and Armitage for the Saints as Graham takes the mark on the wing.
Well, that's a horrendous kick as well. So it's one thing they're not winning the ball. When they are winning the ball, they're giving it straight back to St Kilda.
Rewalt. McKenzie. Back of the fist. On their past 5 games, the West Coast, the best current run of any team in the comp, bar Collingwood. They are the hottest team in the comp outside of the Magpies, and right now they're getting pummeled. Del Santo to Milne. He had it.
Jeez, he got away with a decent shove, didn't he?
He's got the new hairstyle too, Stephen Milne, by the looks of that.
Is that not hands in the back? Adam Selwood certainly asked the question.
Danger again. Peake caught. Scott Selwood almost ran into a high one, got his arms free. Gaff. Even. Who's going to take this game by the scruff of the neck for the West Coast? Rosa got it from McKenzie. Quentin Lynch at half forward. Runs back. Slides the kick wide. Lacroix.
Got Kennedy.
From 50. Could go for goal. Well, kickable when he's on.
Yeah, you can see Josh Kennedy's had his hands raised to the heavens. He'd made a great lead, 20 metres out directly in front. And Mark McCrae is more worried about having a shot because he hasn't had a lot of the footy. He's struggling to have an impact. He wants to kick a goal, but he's much better off hitting the target and letting Kennedy have a set shot from 20 metres out directly in front.
Wilt. Cox stands under it. Got hands on it, couldn't mark. Dawson and Kennedy. Good crowd in. Saints fans showing their support for a team that was on the canvas a few weeks ago. But right now their season is well and truly alive. 44 plays won. 43-point margin. They've played 7 minutes second term. Ton of footy to be played yet. Ebert dragged down, lost it. Gaff. Cheese grated into the turf. A bit of grass from his teeth and get up.
But again, terrific pressure from the Saints. A couple of back-to-back tackles, just denying West Coast use of the footy.
Cox from behind. Prentice again struggled to get a decisive possession away. Waters got Ebert, had it stripped, got one a little high. Crowd now think it's ball. You bet it is.
Well, even Matt Prentice is finding life tough. Clinton Jones doing the job on him. He's had just the 6 hand passes, Prentice.
And Jones has some old rivalry with Matt Prentice as well, who beat him in the Sandover back in 2006. Matt Prentice winning and Clinton Jones finishing third that year. They know each other well. Horrendous kick from Gwilt. Ray missed Graham. Rare fumble, but they've been good enough to get out of them. Gilbert. Del Santo. Didn't really look like a handball. Gilbert back to Clark. Bounces it to the wing and Hearn takes it out. Just 7 games of the home and away season left for these two teams after tonight. We are well and truly down to the pointy end. This is a huge 4 points to grab. Turnover. Waters takes the mark. So Montagna 20 possessions so far for the Saints. He's the one. Rosa. Kennedy. On 50.
Well, he's got pretty good range with his kick. I think he's entitled to go back and have a shot here because they are desperate to find a goal any way they can.
And this is the way they've scored most of the year, getting the ball uncontested around the boundary, allowing their forwards a chance.
He gives it a run. Not long enough, almost. And Ebert. It was off Schofield, down to Ebert, and he kicks their first goal at the 9-minute mark of the second term.
Well, it was interesting, Jace, because in that contest, Ebert actually got bumped out of it. And as we'll see here with the long ball coming in, you'll see Ebert go for a jump, gets knocked. Kaczynski falls all over him, and the ball falls in his lap. Off the head of Gilbert, so...
It was Gilbert that blocked Ebert, and then it hit the top of Gilbert's head and rolled into Ebert's hand.
First bit of luck they had all game, West Coast.
We've seen some big turnarounds this season. Essendon coming from this margin down against the Adelaide Crows, exactly 37 points they were down, and right now it's a 37-point margin here. And the Saints had a big lead over Hawthorn earlier this year and let it slip. And the West Coast gets the momentum. LeCras, Prentice. Holds up. LeCras again. 3 come at him. Weaves his way around them. That's got to be in the back to Kennedy.
He landed on his back. It was a great spoil, though.
And there is a good portion of West Coast fans booing that.
He did tremendously well, Dawson, to get a fist in, but it looked like he landed on his back.
Fisher under some pressure. Ebert kicked the opener. Kennedy held up, and that's a good mark, Kaczynski.
Kaczynski showing good confidence. Raph Clark showing a bit of confidence.
Yes, and both have got some work to do to get the fans back on side. A good final or two wouldn't do them any harm. Prentice, front spot against Stephen. Jones dropped it as he was tackled. Ray had some time and space. LeCras. Schneider with the one hand. Peaks in a one-on-one. He leads. Schofield's with him. Peak front spot. Schofield behind with the fist. McKenzie should get there first. Rewalt tracks him. Embley, they need him to get a bit more of it. Goddard. Caught. Over it. Gets a free for in the back.
Yeah, things going their way at the moment. They are getting first to the 50-50 balls. Getting in lower and harder, the Saints.
Too far out to score. And you know he knows it. Puts it up in hope for McAvoy. Ebert working both ends. McKenzie. Adam Selwood. Goddard up and very nice to watch. To Graham.
He's in range. And he knows it.
Yes.
Well, the crowd were up before Goddard even came into picture.
Well, I think we were all expecting something perhaps even a little bit more spectacular than what we got. Didn't quite happen.
Been a little iffy in front of goal this year. Jason Graham, 4 goals, 6. So worse than 50-50. This from outside 50. Behind. Just regulation for Goddard now.
Just kind of expected him to perch on the shoulders of Schofield and take a real hanger.
In many respects, that was a little disappointing.
It was. I feel let down.
Schofield to himself. Then to Rosa. Clark. Scoots past all of them. Nick Nui and Mark LaCroix preparing to come back on. Cox rips it out of the air. Lynch goes hard, tangled in his toes, slips a tackle. Nikoski missed the target. Stephen, manhandled, gets a free. Play on advantage. Graham. Ray. Riewoldt wants it long. Goes to Fisher instead. Riewoldt still on the outside. Fisher turns. Sees Riewoldt now. Makes it incredibly tough for him. And he made it look easy. Back to Fisher. Now Goddard. Hemmed in. Pops it to McAvoy. 50 from goal.
Kaczynski forward, wants it long and high.
Hits the top of the square. Kaczynski! 1 grab, 2 grab, not the third. Embley. Stolen from him. Stephen tries to rip it free. Had an arm free and gone for holding it. A great contest to watch, even though in some respects, looking at the scoreline, you'd think it hasn't been a contest. Riewoldt on the outer side and will get a ball in. Fourth spot on the ladder, up for grabs tonight for the West Coast. It's a big game for them. You can't grab a home prelim if you don't finish top 4. Darling feeds back onto it. Clark got there first. He was ridden by Darling. Gaff missed the handball target. Scott Selwood. Shuey. Back to Gaff. It's around Clark. Back to Shuey. He line it up from there.
Oh.
That could get the momentum.
That's a serious finish from Luke Shuey. You said it before, Jono. They can't wipe the deficit off in 1 quarter. They've just got to win this quarter by a couple of goals and just edge a little bit closer. To do that, they've got to take their opportunities. Some really good work here from Gaff. But have a look at this for an exquisite finish. That is just threading the needle.
The concern with that is, Jace, they haven't won a 3rd quarter in the last 6 weeks, the West Coast Eagles, so they'll need to have a good 2nd quarter.
Their Pickett's spot on. The premiership quarter hasn't been their best over the last 4 or 5 weeks.
Yeah, but they should be fresh this week because they didn't do much in the first term.
That's right.
Back to 32 points. Nat Nui back in the ruck, and Embley back onto the Sharon.
Well, just his 3rd touch for Embley. Dempster's done a real number on him so far.
Rosa finds Darling.
They're just getting a little bit more of the footy though.
To Hearn. Takes on gamble and won the gamble. Gaff giving them some life. Puts it up high. Cox!
Oh,
gee, that was a good grab. Had a lot of it, not paid it. Nikoski threads his way through. Kick smothered. Back to Shuey. Driven into the deck. No free again. Stephen extracts a kick. Schneider runs onto it. Dances around Schofield with style. Riewoldt.
1 out gamble. Plenty of space to lead into.
And in some space he goes.
And a great kick.
And Nat Nui was in the hole.
Gee, Dan Cox nearly took a hanger. You don't often see the big blokes run and jump and take that classic perch hanger. It looked like one of those. He just couldn't hang on to it.
Gamble turns it over. Lacroix. Well, he had a lot of it, but couldn't mark it. Then it'll be coming back. Montagna, possession number 21 to the pocket. And Schneider wins a free.
No, it's gone the other way.
Okay.
Schneider trying to pull the arm of Waters down.
And that is a very, very sore arm. It's for Bo Waters.
There's some serious bandage on it too.
The elbow that's troubled him all season.
That's a good decision because the umpire saw that Schneider locked his arm over his shoulder and dragged him down. Really good umpiring.
Lynch in the spot. McAvoy. Graham. Gwilt. Want to go to the open side. Peak. Gilbert. Ray. Has to go and get it. Ton of time.
Yeah, too much time. And that would be disturbing John Worsfold. The fact that the press is not closing in on the Saints players and they've got time to deliver the footy.
Got under Peak, who couldn't quite trap it. West Coast with 3 players on the overlap. Cox, Nikoski, just bangs it high. Lynch has to get back onto it. Getting back, Gaff, runs in, open goal! 3 in a row, West Coast.
Well, the spark has come from Gaff, hasn't it, Jace?
He's been good.
Himself and Shuey, the 2 younger players that are certainly smart. So close by Dean Cox there. But it's the younger brigade of West Coast that are working and trying to will this side back into this contest. And Gaff he was involved in the last Shuey goal and now he's got one for himself.
6 touches and a goal in the second term, up to 10 possessions for the match, Andrew Gaff, and he's looked very dangerous, looks composed, and he set up the goal for Luke Shuey moments ago as well.
Clearance important here, Del Santo. Waters. Makes it somebody else's problem. Polo. Jones. They need a steadier, the Saints. Graham.
One thing that's worked for St Kilda in the first half, they've tried to play on at every opportunity.
He lifts it high. Del Santo, Gamble, they're both down there. It's a fumble. No mark. Almost a high. No free. Yes, it is. Umpire waited. So Selwood's ball with the Scott variety.
He's not afraid to run hard into traffic, Scott Selwood, is he?
There would have been a few band-aids used in the Selwood house in the old days.
They had their own
I reckon they would have knocked them back, the
sponsorship.
kids. They would have seen that as a sign of weakness, I think.
Good point. Yeah, there wouldn't have been any Wiggles band-aids in the Selwood household. Matt Newey, nice grab.
Skull and crossbones on him.
Speaking of Selwood, Adam Selwood's gone to Montagna, who we know had 17 touches at his own footy in the first quarter.
Matt Newey, dainty. Waters.
And that's not a bad move either, Pickers.
Well, he started on Milne, and Milne hasn't really had a massive impact on the game at all, but he's the most dangerous player on the ground, Montagna, at the moment.
Adam Selwood to Gaff, who's been the live wire. Wants to take Peak on. Lacroix.
Like a lot of left-footers, he's a good kick of the footy, Gaff, isn't he?
Sure is. And they needed good kicks this year. They had a problem with it last year. Embley. He wants to launch it. Sits it up. Cox is up there. Crunches the pack again. And it's Cox's ball. And West Coast played on. Will it be allowed, though? No.
Well, they're saying a tug of the arm. That's what the umpire signalled.
Yeah, I didn't see it because I was watching, I think it was Josh Kennedy. Looked like he was going to fly from the side. So that's where my focus was.
Having another outstanding season, Dean Cox. 4-time All-Australian. Could make it 5 this year.
There wasn't a lot in it, but it was a little early grab of the arm from Gwilt. A lot of the time to get away with that. This is an important kick for West Coast.
This for 4 goals in a row. And he sprays it.
Yeah, he kicks that and they're back to a 20-point margin. All of a sudden you think, gee, they've gone a long way towards getting themselves right back in the contest.
And you can sense the Saints getting a little nervous. Del Santo taking an enormous amount of time. To himself. Now to McAvoy. Naitanui being pushed off by Montagna. Still got it. That was splendid. To the top of the square. Cox from 5 deep. Can't go. Almost stayed down and got it. Massive players around the ball. Darling couldn't thread his way through. Goddard likewise. There's 20 players around this.
How could someone ever have the time to pick it up and kick it in that ruck?
20 players, 16 of them are St Kilda players as well.
Good spot for a ball up though for the West Coast. Too far out for the Saints to knock it through. Played 22 minutes second term. Dawson knocked it down. Gilbert. And now they should have space. Dempster to Jones. Runs into the space. But the trouble is they've got nowhere to kick to because they're all in defence. To Montagna. Pops it up. Milne.
Really good kick.
And Milne can wait. He doesn't want to. Polo.
Well, this is how they've opened West Coast up, by playing on at every opportunity.
Clark. Just gets the kick away in time. Graham. McAvoy. Crutch. He was the meat in that sandwich. Graham got it up. Stephen ducks out of a tackle. Has some time. Peak. Backtracks. Floats it to Revolt. Can't get there. Schofield.
First time West Coast have been able to make St Kilda start stepping backwards, start working back defensively.
Sandwich. They all went down the big bloke.
They certainly did. But that was a real win for West Coast right then.
Milne tried to shark it. Hearn. Embley starting to get some of it now. Ebert. Not sure about that kick.
Yeah, very poor one.
Well, that's the third or fourth time today West Coast have kicked it out in the full. No real need for that. He should have gone down the line. There's a lot of St Kilda players for the longer option, but do a little bit better than that.
Yeah, he's kicking at 50%.
They have been using that as their out kick, the West Coast, this year. That kick to the boundary to be rushed out. That's a good pass. Schneider, he can take off, gives to Fisher from 50, keeps it low. Milne, goal against the flow.
Yeah, from a St Kilda perspective, very, very important. An error from West Coast. I don't know who the player was. We'll see on the replay on Schneider.
Yeah,
he can't overcommit Ashley Smith and then just run 15 metres past the mark, allow Schneider to play on hand pass to Fisher. If he props when Schneider takes the mark, he stops that happening.
You'd even give him the benefit, attack the contest, that's fine. Young player, try and get to the ball. But you'd like to see him turn a little bit quicker just to get back onto it and put even some perceived pressure on.
It's a 2-goal turnaround. The Cox miss and then that one there.
Jones with a thumping clearance. Revolt. Manhandled. Gee, that was hard on the back of Waters. Free kick. Play on advantage though. Gaff takes the advantage to Prentice. Has to play on quickly. Kennedy rises. Clark with the fist. Jones gets back, lends a hand. Graham. Time, space, poise. Fisher.
Well, you know your side's on when your defenders leave their direct opponents to take the most dangerous, and that's exactly what St Kilda were able to do then to create the turnover.
Embley from 4 deep couldn't bring it. It does bring it down. Prentice hacks it inside 50. Kennedy, Lacroix both there. Lacroix tried to crumb it. Fisher stole it from him. Clark. Kaczynski. Wilt. Dangerous kick. Peak.
Crowd on 50 for that, sure.
Certainly wasn't there.
He was there stretching for the spoil, and then when he didn't get the spoil, he avoided falling over the back of Peak, and it still cost him 50. I find that a really tough decision.
I think when they look back at that, the umpires, they'll realise that wasn't on.
I mean, if he clumsily fell into the back, that's fine. But he used every bit of energy he had trying to get there to affect the spoil right until the time the mark was taken, and then he pulled up, kept back, and didn't fall in the back of the player.
It is the younger of the three umpires, Shane Stewart, who paid that. As Rewald marks on 50 with a minute left on the clock. spears that inboard. Even hand on it. Goddard, look away, handball to Milne for number 3. Wide. It's like the Bear Grylls of football, Stevie Milne. Feed on anything he gets.
What else is he supposed to? He avoided him completely after he couldn't do the spoil, and he says that. That's a really average decision in my mind.
Been a great survivor, Stevie Milne.
Has after a kick out. A dart. They're on here. The long kick.
So Schofield long. Kennedy. He can take off if he likes.
Oh, he dropped it.
He spent it before he'd earned it. Goes back. Mops up his mess. Nikovsky. Open goal. Instant reply.
Josh Kennedy can consider himself an extremely lucky man. He dropped a simple chest mark, then he burned a couple of teammates with the hand pass, but he obviously knew he had Nikovsky running forward. Have a look at this. He just drops it. But then he has one inside, one outside. There they are, and he just throws on the boot, but he must have known he had Nikovsky there.
So easily that could have been kicked into Sam Gilbert's back.
Absolutely.
But it's twice if this quarter they've had a bit of luck. One with Ebert, with the ball coming off Gilbert's head, falling in his lap in the goal square for a goal. And then they got away with it.
All started with a superb Hearn kick out. Sorry, Pickers.
Yeah, I was just going to say that, exactly that, Jason, that the kicking was great, but something fell apart in the St Kilda zone there. There was a loose play and space.
Big 30 seconds coming up. Jones gets the clearance. Hearn again. So can the West Coast have one last shot at goal? Gaff, who's been the inspiration in the second term, holds it up. Maybe knows how long left. 26 points the margin. They've come from 36 down at quarter time. Fisher gets it up. That should just about do us. Half-time, Etihad Stadium, round 17 clash. 5th on the ladder, the West Coast Eagles, hoping to be 4th on the ladder tonight with a win. Up against the Saints, 11th on the ladder, but back in form. Half-time, and it's the Saints by 26. 8-4-52 to the West Coast. 4-2, 26. With the Blues losing, and the Saints, they can make it 6 of their last 8 with a victory here. Second half underway. Dempster, Montagna coming off a 22 possession first half. Lee Montagna. Gilbert heads wide to Gamble. He spoiled it, didn't know where it went. Del Santo to Gamble. Outside of the boot. Revolt. One-on-one. Feeds back onto it. McKenzie got there first. Didn't really have prior opportunity there.
It was interesting. Adam Selwood went to Lee Montagna in that second term to try and keep him a little more quiet, but Andrew Gaff has started on him in this third term, and that's a very exciting matchup. A youngster with an opportunity, but he'd want to pay close attention.
Scott Selwood ducked into that high one. Jones ripped out of play by Andrew Embley.
I thought Gaff's second quarter was exceptional for the West Coast. He was one of those runners that was able to get forward, so important matchup.
The two hot players from the second on each other, as the boys said. We'll keep an eye on that one. Dempster slung, dropped it. Montagna.
Trouble was at that last stoppage, Montagna ran in towards the contest, and Gaff stayed back and actually then went to Del Santo, who he goes to now, and it looks like you know, they're just going to mix and match as they go.
McAvoy palmed it. Milne has got it. Prentice. Bounce pass from Schofield was clever. High kick. Darling attacked the contest. Couldn't bring the mark down. Shuey. Trapped by Graham. Goddard. Not a great kick. McAvoy. Nice the slick handball. Peak. Gets a kick away, but it only travelled to Prentice. To Shuey. And he has some space and time. Kennedy. Nikovsky. Players who were down in the opening half starting to wind their way back.
Yeah, Nick Riewoldt pushed himself deep into defence to fill up that defensive 50 zone. So they're just mindful of the West Coast getting back into the game.
Embley sits it up. Nat Nui can't get. Oh, yes, he can. From nowhere.
Well, there was some bustling going on there, and he just reached across the top of the pack and plucked it like an apple off a tree. And handball's off.
Gaff, who's been inspirational so far in this game, and he's kicked the goal. That might start the fire.
Certainly will start the fire, Dwayne. Gaff, his second quarter was very good. He was the spark, as we've spoken about a few times already. And look at this grab from Natanui in a pack situation. McAvoy lost body contact there.
Riewoldt and McAvoy.
Both of them, you're right, Dwayne. Gave a nice little handball off. Knows his limitations, Natanui. And Gaff finishes it.
There's something I really, really like about a ruckman who handballs the ball to the good users. And Gaff rewarded Natanui with a goal.
What was really important in that passage of play was they're only their 4th mark inside 50, the West Coast.
What about that for a clearance? Natanui, Nikoski, Ebert, Lacroix. That was out of the copybook.
Probably just too far out.
Keeps it low. It's wide. And Kennedy crashes with the fist. Through for a behind.
Yeah, that was a pretty ordinary kick. This is a great centre square tap to Nikoski coming in off the back of the square. He's only kicked the ball 57%, Lacroix.
Schofield left it behind. Lacroix manhandled off it. Polo. Graham. Almost a turnover. Schofield had it, but he lost it. Waters ducked into that. Now he's caught. Just gets it out in time. Peak. Runs free, goes back. Goddard. Montagna. Gaff's kicked one on him. Gamble. Glass. Fist. Couldn't get it out. McKenzie wants to get it out. Does get it out.
And that's when that matchup becomes interesting with Gaff and Montagna, because West Coast wingmen like to hold their wings, especially for the transition play. Montagna likes to use the wing as a starting point only and then go everywhere on the ground.
I tell you what, they're using each other as a starting point only as well. They're not playing real close.
Del Santo, Montagna, Peak, Graham. Back to the hot spot. Gamble in a one-on-one. Well played, Hearn. He wrapped him up, but didn't really wrap him up to give a free away. And splendid smother from Riewoldt. Crowd a little restless. Thought that deserved a free this year. Now, Gamble had his arm as much as Hearn.
Yeah, good decision, play on. Good umpiring.
Jones hacks it forward. Gamble couldn't take his chance.
High contact. I'm not sure how was Gamble allowed to stand in the goal square on his own. Very lucky let-off for West Coast there, but then a free kick here for putting his head over the footy. Andrew Gaff just keeps getting the footy.
He's yet to be nominated for the NAB Rising Star. He might be a chance today. Glass goes wide. Kennedy dragged over. No free. The trouble for Gaff is they've got a few that they do want to nominate, I'm sure, the AFL. Here he is again. Yep. And the West Coast have already had 2 nominations. Some clubs haven't had any. The Bulldogs are getting a little restless.
Oh!
Nat Nui slides his way through. Can he go for goal? He goes to Lacroix. Jumps. Can't get it. Clark.
That would have been goal of the year if he had him teed off at the big pegs.
And a good block by Kennedy as well along the way.
You need to see, though, that he ran away from Brett Peake, who's not short of legs, and he ran around another player. He's got some serious moves.
And here he goes again. Can't get there. Gwilt takes the mark. But what a delight Nick Natanui is to watch. Polo.
He's an excitement machine.
He sure is.
Inboard. Dangerous kick. Fisher. Kennedy knocked it away. Trouble. Shuey. Kennedy. Natanui. Didn't know it was going to be his. Gaff. Clever. That is amazing.
Oh, he is a Rising Star nominee moral. The way he is turning it on tonight, Dwayne. He is one of the reasons West Coast are back in the game. He's made good decisions. He's used the footy well. And that's a decision-making process there that defies the number of games he's played and defies his age. That's just a bloke that's played a couple 100 games.
Mark Nikoski. He was their leading goal kicker last week against Geelong with 3. Has a chance to kick his second here.
Taking his full 30 seconds.
They've been in good goal kicking form. To cut it back to 13 points. Saints led by 43 and now lead by 13.
Well, we need to wind the tape back a little bit to Nick Nanu. He took it out of the ruck. He had a bounce in Brett Peake's face. He showed it to James Gwilt and ran around him and then ran away from Farron Ray. And none of those 3 are slow players. Extraordinary stuff. And then have a look at Andrew Gaff. He gets the hand pass from that Nui. He doesn't go out wide to Ebert and put him under pressure. He knows where the free players are in the corridor, sets up the goal for Nikoski.
And you talk about decision making. The easy option, and you can understand if he did take it, was Ebert to the boundary line.
Yeah.
Just the easy handball to release the ball. Great kick.
Saints are in front, but you sense mentally they might be a little behind right now. West Coast have the run on. Polo turns it over. Nikoski bounces it inside 50. Clark, cool. Gilbert needs to be just as cool. Revolt, hands on it. McKenzie, splendid, and Gaff again. Cox, Prentice, not 15, called to go. And shows the ball to everyone. Lacroix on 50, maybe within range.
Oh, he nearly had a short option. Rosa was lurking. These marks on about 48, 49 metres, so he'll kick from 52, and I think just the way he's looking around suggests he's going to struggle with the distance.
He can't put it to the goal square, though. He's got to put it, nearly kicking at right angles across to
There
where
it
the
is.
third umpire is.
Goes to the pocket. Embley bumped out of it.
Too high to kick.
Farron Ray in style. That kick not all that stylish at all. Gaff tracks it down. Del Santo worried him out of it. Ball in. 13 points the margin.
And the other thing we've noticed about St Kilda at different stages, their scoring dries up. They started like a bomb, house on fire. They were just freely scoring. And now they don't look like they can find an avenue to go.
Schneider to Graham. Spears it to Revolt.
Super kick.
It's through his hands, and that's the change in confidence. First term, every St Kilda player was grabbing everything. Waters can go.
And now they've got time to control the footy when they do get it, West Coast.
Cox, good grab. Leads calm left, right and centre. Selwood. Adam goes to the pass option. Lynch, after it went through Kennedy's hands. Ray with the smother.
The last couple of kicks, the one from Lacroix and then that one from Selwood, just too high for the leading player.
Yeah, the difference is, though, St Kilda now going at 56% by foot. West Coast are up over 80.
Montagna, Dawson, Jones to Revolt. Can't mark that either. Gaff, who's everywhere. McKenzie, little fumble. That might be all it needs. Revolt, Del Santo, Dempster. Schneider can get and go. He's got Milne inside 50, buzzing around. He ignores Milne and kicks it. That's almost deliberate.
Well, Stephen Milne's lead then, Jace, couldn't have been any harder for a left footer going on the boundary.
And I think what Schneider's signalling is that he was kicking it to the goal square to try and make Milne double back to the goal square. He just didn't kick it where he wanted to kick it.
Good spot for a ball in. Cox tried to crush it away. Polo trapped between his legs. Selwood trapped by Polo. That was Adam Selwood. This is Scott toward Lynch. And Rewald back with the fly. Saints fans a little restless right now.
Well, if Nick Revolt's got the ball, who's going to lead? That's the problem.
Gives it some air. And Schofield's fist wins.
Gee, it's a courageous fight. To run back at a pack with your eyes on the footy. And great work from Sam Fisher to protect him too.
To the back, Milne pounces. Hearn pounced on him. Ebert. Little sidestep. Darling was good.
Really good kick.
And now McKenzie. Even. Nat Nui in a one-on-one inside 50. Ignored. Goes to Lynch instead. Gilbert can't mark it. Fisher mops up his mess. Clark tries to thread the eye of the needle. Doesn't. Peake. Jones. Ray. They're a little jumpy. Fisher. One way, then the other. In hope, and he turns it over. Schofield. Great grab.
Tell you what, that last kick going forward from Brad Ebert was a shocker, wasn't it? He missed everything he was possibly thinking about by so far. And it's one of the criticisms of his game. He's got to learn to improve his foot skills.
Portis. Adam Selwood.
Nikoski working hard.
And he's having a great season. Mark Nikoski. Just 6 games last year. And there's a player down for the Saints.
Yeah,
it's Quilt.
It's Quilt, and they've called for the stretcher here, boys.
So the umpires might have to stop play. Darling's had a couple to beat. Fisher stands tall. Now the umpires still haven't realised. Now they have.
Now they have.
Okay.
The stretcher is on the ground, so doesn't look a well boy, James Quilt.
The left knee by the looks of it. Let's have a look. He gets the Shepherd. Gee, it was innocuous, wasn't it? It was just a bump to the side. He went down. Just keep an eye on the legs. Or maybe the left leg that he braced himself with, just the pressure of the bump, something had to give, and it looks like they're holding that left knee.
You're right, it's the leg that braces. It's the plant leg that takes all the pressure. And sometimes it can look as easy as that, and you can do some major damage.
So they'll also be assessing here whether to activate their sub.
Yep.
David Armitage, there he is.
I suspect he better get busy warming up. And look, it's a twofold thing. Now, St Kilda are down the rotation, so it's taken away their option of bringing on a fresh player later in the game. But the flip side is West Coast have had the momentum, so now there's a break. There's a chance to regroup. The two teams get together, the players have a chat, they refocus. The coaches have a chance to make changes, to make structural changes, to get plenty of messages out there, so everyone gets a chance to get back to level footing when they start again.
A lot of concern here.
Yeah, you never like seeing players going off on a stretcher with anything, and certainly.
Here it is to the left of the screen again.
The left leg he braces. Perhaps the knee just gives way.
Nothing illegal about the Shepherd.
And look, it's a legitimate Shepherd. He was creating time and space for his teammate that had the footy. He didn't hit him high. It wasn't malicious. It was just one of those things.
And seeing that then, it looked like the plant leg, we called it, didn't get a chance to really get in and support his body weight that he was putting onto it.
And as we mentioned in the intro, he's been in sensational form this year. James Quilt has been their delivery man, running from defence and delivering inside 50 more than any other Saints player this year. So they'll miss him. David Armitage gets his chance.
And what you do also get is you get a midfielder coming on for a key defender. And that throws the mix into a little bit of chaos as well.
If you have joined us late, Justin Kosicki wasn't part of the initial 22, but he was a late inclusion with Tom Lynch, a late out. Okay, we have to get back underway. 13 points to margin, 16 minutes gone, third term. Cox, good pluck. That's had a bit of statement about it.
Nat Nui lurking deep forward. They want to just pump it in there to him.
Prittis takes off. Nat Nui wants it. It's shorter. Lacroix will do.
That's the other thing about having great tall options, is everyone's worried about the long kick. They're getting numbers back, and it opens up the avenue to lead straight up the footy. Now, Mark Lacroix hasn't had a great day, hasn't kicked the ball particularly well, but he gets a chance here to get himself on the scoreboard. He's had 8 kicks. He's only kicked at 50%, yet to register a score. No better time than right now. And finally, unlike the last couple of kicks, he's right within his range.
Takes a deep breath. Knows how important this kick is. 27 goals for the year. A little to the right.
He's having an off night.
Well, we see James Gould there, doesn't look too flash, but 8 marks to 2 inside 50 for West Coast for the quarter.
Yeah, they've just got so many more options up forward, Pickers, than the Saints have.
Goddard heads wide. Ray jumps in. Almost spoils Dempster.
And Gould had been doing a lot of his work on Josh Kennedy. So now the responsibility was with Sam Fisher at the last passage of play. Maybe a Gilbert has to go there to try and keep his influence down to a minimum.
Nat Nui dives in with McAvoy. Strip clear. Dexter couldn't get an arm free to get the handball away. Pritis jumps in as well. A little bit of pushing and shoving off the ball. Armitage letting everybody know he's fresh on. Delicate stage of the game. Nat Nui. Splendid. Rosa to the top of the square. No, he went for the top of the square, but it was outside of the boot.
Paid a throw.
Oh, did he?
Yep, and there it is. Good decision.
Well picked.
Seen too many of those. They don't dispose of it correctly. Ping them.
Ray to Montagna. Possession number 26 coming up. Rams also had 26 for the Saints. Gaff, the leading possession getter for the West Coast, with 18. That sits up a little, and that Nui crashes that pack.
And even though Montagna continues to get a few possessions, he's up to 26, as you said, Dwayne. He's not having the run, carry, the link, the setup impact that he was having in the first half.
Rosa couldn't quite take off with it. Gang tackled. Didn't drag it in. Ball up.
Well, the Saints have shuffled their defence now. Fisher staying with Kennedy. Gilbert's gone to Lacroix. And Clark's now playing on Nikoski.
Well, there's another big thump. Look at that.
Amazing. Ebert to Pritis. From 50 to the square. Cox down there. Dangerous. Clark clever enough. Nick Natanui putting on a show.
Well, they're going to have to start going third man up, I suspect, at a lot of these ball-ups. You can't allow Natanui just to dominate one-on-one against a ruckman like that.
If you're wondering why the goal umpires are using orange flags, it's for Multicultural Week. And Natanui, almost on cue, pulled one down. Just couldn't quite get both hands on it. Jones stripped of it. Rosa, turnover to Schneider. Dragged down and holding the ball.
Super tackle. Look, I'm an unashamed fan of Nick Natanui already. Just when you see some of the things he does, he makes you excited when he gets near the footy, and he nearly took another screener.
He's going to have a fair highlights reel when he retires.
Now there'll be a couple of volumes, I think. Schofield pumps it to the square. Cox with the reach. Fisher, strong hands, does it so often. Been their saviour many a time. It low. Montagna, they'll be content with him getting possessions there.
You'll have the confidence of your key defenders to mark the ball in a pack of 4 or 5 players.
Rosa jumps from 4 deep. Pritis grabbed the crumb. Rosa gets it from Embley. Bumped out on the full. Stalemate right now. Both teams using their defences to try and stop any momentum. Here's the jump again.
That's just an amazing leap straight onto the shoulders of Ben McAvoy. Nearly another hanger.
I think he got too high to make the mark easy.
He is an explosive athlete. We saw an amazing run from him before. We've seen a couple of incredible punches from ball-ups. Now the classic high leap. Might be a play when he gets it all together. He's going to be scary, isn't he?
Let's hope there's more of him. Cox, and let's hope there's more like him as well. Schofield. Sidestep. Centering kick. Lacroix buffeted it out of it. Fantastic mark, Dawson. Gave to Goddard. Montagna. They are under siege right now, the Saints. They haven't had it in their forward half for a while. They might now. Dempster got it. Pumps it long. McKenzie had the reach and the poise there.
His actual one-on-one work on Rewalt's been pretty good tonight. His body work.
Yeah, good call, Pickers.
Shuey. Only got one-on-ones to go to. Adam Selwood will do. Milne tries to hold him up. 11 points the margin. Lynch gets there. Back in after a 1 week rest through suspension. He should be fresh. In fact, he was down to miss this game as well. He got 2 weeks, but he challenged it. And lucky to be playing after winning that challenge. Cox with the fist. Del Santo. Lynch comes again. Clark just as hard. Lynch strong grab, and Clark's hurt. Floats it up again. This time Kennedy goes up and takes the grab.
Yeah, and some really good work from Jack Darling off the ball. I think it was Sam Fisher that wasn't able to. In fact, it was Justin Kazitsky unable to compete because of the contact with Jack Darling. Have a look. Oh, he gets a knee right in the hip. That's nasty. That is real nasty.
Yeah, they stink for quite some time.
Josh Kennedy to make it a one-kick game after they were 43 points down, the West Coast. That is gorgeous. Straight over the umpire's hat. And it's a 5-point margin.
Well, it's relentless pressure. The game's turned, no doubt about it. St Kilda dominated in the first term. West Coast just got their nose in front in a pretty good struggle in the second term, but now they are dominating the third term. Good courage from Raf Clark, but he gets a knee right in the hip, and that's going to create all sorts of problems for him. Bang. That is painful. And then have a look at the work on Kazitsky off the ball by Darling. Terrific.
Can they take the lead in at three-quarter time?
It's 14-4 inside 50s for the quarter in favour of the Eagles, so they're just dominating the game.
Well, the Saints haven't scored in 24 minutes of play in this third term. Not even a behind. Kazitsky gets it up.
Look at the tackles. 3 in a row from West Coast. Brilliant. They've listed their intensity enormously. And the other thing that the Gwilt injuries forced is St Kilda to send Brendan Goddard back playing as a tall defender now. He's got the job on Quentin Lynch. In fact, Darling, it might be. He's picking out his Lynch.
Saints have pushed players around the ball up. Clearance straight to Embley, though. Kennedy can't get the fly. Fisher knocks it down. Lynch. Goddard with him. Lynch can't break free. Got a kick away. Bounces it to 50. Fisher came hard. Stephen gets it up. Revolt wide. Gamble. Hearn right with him. Boundary line beats them both. 25 gone. Third term. It'll be a longer quarter. The players know that, with Gwilt taken off on a stretcher. And has that box got some work to do? They are in front, the Saints. But in theory, they are behind. Momentum against them right now. Gang tackling continues for the West Coast.
Well, as Pig has mentioned, the last 5 weeks they would like a short third quarter, but today, with the turnaround...
I was about to say, despite Jono and Pickers telling us they're no good in the third term, West Coast, they've kicked 3 goals to nothing here. Don't try and bail out, Jono.
And they could be 2 men down for the last quarter.
I don't remember saying that.
Clark off injured.
Stats don't lie, Jason.
And Gwilt off for the game.
Well, good news that Raf Clark's up and walking about. So maybe there's still a role for him to play.
Well, the tackles for the quarter are 22-13 as well, so they're not just doing it on the outside, they're getting in hard as well, the West Coast.
Yeah, and their tackles, they weren't even getting close to making in the first term in particular, Pickers. They've lifted their intensity enormously.
Schneider breaks free, pumps it along. Schofield, McAvoy. Schofield with the secondary knockdown. Waters, there's their first score for the quarter.
No, it's not a score. He's played a push in the back. So they didn't even get the rush behind.
But a big in by Waters. First game since round 2. Couple of games in the waffle for Claremont in the last couple of weeks to prove his fitness. Smith, Shuey. Oh, he should have been gone there.
He rode the tackle well, though.
Yeah. And Armitage is fresh on. Should have wrapped him up. Selwood, Ebert, Prittis takes off on the wing. Can they take the lead?
Yeah, they've got Gaff loose if he sees him at half forward.
Kennedy now sees him. Lynch the target. Lynch has got it.
Well, Goddard's claiming he was held out of it or infringed against, but there's so many targets to kick to when you go forward for West Coast. It creates unpredictability. Are they going to go long to a Cox or a Natanui? Is it a leading Darling or Lacroix or a Quentin Lynch tall option? It makes every backman accountable.
The tide has turned from 40.
Sorry, Dino, looking at that replay, you had something to argue about there, Dino.
From 43 points down, the West Coast Eagles, for the first time tonight, hit the front.
I think one of the big questions now, Jono, is how do St Kilda turn it around? Where does their goal scoring come from?
Well, it's back through the midfield, to be honest.
Yep.
Perfectly honest. That's where West Coast have been able to take advantage. Missed tackles as well. You look at the missed tackles there. They've got to certainly pick up that side of the game. The other question that must be asked, Chase, is why Lynch isn't taking the glove off anymore to have a shot at goal.
Sam Fisher trying to get things organised down back. They've got their hands full. No James Gilbert comes back as a loose in defence now. They've got a number behind the footy, St Kilda.
Well, we're seeing right now why the West Coast are fifth on the ladder, and tonight they could be fourth. Another inside 50, 1 minute and 45 left. Three-quarter time can't come quickly enough for the Saints. Gilbert crushed. Peake pumps it. Schofield gets there, takes the mark, and Rewalt can't get near it at the moment.
And while that was happening, Raf Clark's come back out onto the ground, so he's good to go. He's got three short options.
Uses Cox.
He wasn't that convincing running into position though, Chase.
Kennedy comes up with a good lead.
He thinks about launching it long.
They've got a lot of numbers back, St Kilda. They have just stopped the flow. They've got everyone behind the footy.
Lynch is there. Goddard with the fist.
And that's okay to slow the momentum down. I understand why you do that. But at some stage, they've also got to work out how to kick some goals to win the game. And I'm sure at three-quarter time, that's what the St Kilda Brains Trust will be working on.
Well, let's go back a couple of weeks, Chase. They just had a bigger lead against North Melbourne. They kicked one goal from the 5-minute mark of the third quarter and still hang on to win. So they've got to dare themselves to win here, St Kilda.
Yeah, you'd suspect they're going to have to kick a goal to win it, at least. Right now,
I can do more than scoring. I can do more than suspect they need a goal.
Well, I could kick three behinds, maybe. Take the lead and then block it all up. But
good comeback.
Right now, they don't look like kicking another goal for the game.
No,
they are 44 seconds away from having a scoreless term after being 43 up.
So that's the problem. Okay, we get numbers behind the ball. That means we have to run and carry and use it a little bit more prudently as we go forward.
Rewalt is trying to stop the West Coast flow, but he kicks it to where he'd like to be. Selwood traps it. Clark gets back in the hole. Good gutsy mark, considering he almost had a rib broken earlier.
And that's been the round so far. You think West Coast will go on with it. Adelaide Friday night had a 36-point lead.
Look at this poor kick.
So turnover for Smith. He pumps it long. 15 seconds left. Off hands. Still a chance. Montagna gets back to Kazitsky, to Goddard. Sidesteps a tackle. Oh, Kazitsky crushed. 7 seconds left. Kennedy hits the post out on the full.
Good passage of play by the West Coast Eagles. Adelaide had a big lead. Richmond had a big lead in the first quarter today against the Gold Coast. St Kilda tonight. It's the nature of the round so far. Sides get out to a big lead and then drop away.
Three-quarter time at Etihad Stadium, and after being mesmerisingly good in the opening term, St Kilda were astonishingly bad in the third quarter. Nick Natanui and co leading the charge from 43 points down to a 2-point lead at three-quarter time. The West Coast 8-6, 54 to the Saints, 8-4, 52.
If that's the case, they've got to use the ball and run the ball and carry the ball and hit the short targets when they win it.
Will the real St Kilda please stand up from the ball up? Shuey takes them on. Straight to Scott Selwood. Shrugs a tackle. Natanui had to wait for it. Rewalt. They'll try and kickstart them again. Schneider pushed free surely.
Well, Rewalt bolted in off the centre square, trying to have an impact as skipper, trying to get his team up.
Lead comes wide. Waters gets there first. Out of play, poor kick.
Well, it's an even stranger kick when you consider it's Brett Peake that he was kicking it to a boundary line lead. I mean, if it was Nick Rewalt, you sometimes understand it, but not for a Brett Peake.
Nat Nui lost it. McAvoy gave to Gamble. He lost it. Shuey threads his way through some traffic and rolls it to the line.
He shows class, Luke Shuey, doesn't he?
He certainly does. I agree with the kick before, but as a kicker, you respond to movement.
Yeah.
And Peake was the only one moving for St Kilda in that part of the ground.
But you've also got to make a decision and say, well, that's not what we're going to score from, a kick to the boundary line. So I'll kick it to the hot spot and just create a contest.
Shuey does well again and wins them 35 metres. Ball on the wing. West Coast by 2 points. Early stages. Final term. Nat Nui McAvoy. McAvoy caught. Montagna. Handball up. It's straight to Schofield. Saints have got the spare one back. He doesn't want to blaze away. Shuey caught out on the full.
Yeah, I think Schofield needed to put that on the boot and kick it long down the line. All he did was put his teammate Luke Shuey under pressure by trying to create something with a clever hand pass. They just need to keep playing the percentages, West Coast. They've got themselves back in it by relentless pressure and just pumping it forward. They need to keep doing it.
Jones to McAvoy and Nat Nui, who have the reach. Del Santo, clever, Gamble, taken over the line. Saints aiming to win 3 games in a row for the first time this year and put themselves back on the map. West Coast aiming for 4th spot tonight. They came into this from 5th. Rewalt lays a tackle, get another ball up.
Go back to quarter time when I was interviewing John Worsfold and just asked him how he was going with it all and what the message was, and it was just to keep believing what they've been doing, the things that have gotten to where they are, and I think they've done it to a T.
Yeah. LeCras to Prittis, who takes off, pokes the pass short. Lynch had to wait for it. Crashed by Rosa, does brilliantly from 50, heads the square. Nikoski manhandled, no free.
He had a lot more time, Matty Rosa. He could have set sail for goal. He could have run another 5 metres steady and actually kicked the goal himself. That's got to be a free kick. There's one over the shoulder, one around the waist. Got away with one, Raf Clark.
Embley reaches in. Dempster in a spot of bother.
Oh, he's in trouble. He saw the ball come out, the umpire. Very lucky. Otherwise, Dempster was in trouble.
So a couple of lucky ones for the Saints in the last 10 seconds. And boy, do they need a little bit of luck right now. McAvoy was that high, wrapped up by Embley, going nowhere.
Just a relentless tackling of West Coast at the moment. We see Jimmy Gwilt in there on the crutches. No doubt assessed that after the game.
Dawson went high, knocked it down. Fisher threw it to Dawson. Gave to Del Santo, kick smothered by Prittis. Got it. They got him. Kennedy somehow a kick, but it's on the full. If you join us late, Saints have not kicked a score since the 2nd term.
Well, they have created loose here, so they've got to run and carry and use the ball well.
Almost a turnover. Dempst, in fact, Armitage it was. Wasabi's on, gets it back from Fisher, takes off, uses the fresh legs, goes to Peake. Can't get there. Hearn fed back, got the fist away, and what a fist.
Yeah, it was great, but it was also good play by St Kilda. You saw Sam Fisher going through the middle, and he nearly pulled the trigger and kicked it long, and then he pulled it back into his hands and he hand passed it because he could see West Coast getting deep, and in the end they got a one-on-one contest. Nearly found Peake loose.
Del Santo strides his way through, goes for Milne. Hasn't seen it for a while, Stephen Milne. Almost deliberate from McKenzie. Crowd roared. Ball in. Crowd sees it on the replay. Voice their disapproval. Cox took it out of the air, got a kick away. Graham, nice trap. It'll be a mark, and Glass takes it. No.
Didn't control it down to the ground. He turned back the clock with the leap.
He did.
think he was worried about how he was going to land in the end. He had to give the ball up.
Schneider cuts to his own advantage. Pops it back to Graham. Maybe within range. He thought about it. He took a netball step. That's enough. He's off. Umpire caught him to go. Dawson, 90 from goal. Squeezes it to Milne, who can give them the lead back. And everybody takes a breath. You probably wouldn't want it in anyone else's hands, although he is a long way out.
Different look for Stephen Milne. Chase?
What are you trying to say, John?
He's just had a haircut the last couple of days. That's what I'm trying to say.
This is a huge kick. He keeps it low and gives them back momentum. What else did you expect?
And it's probably what the game needed. I mean, we didn't want St Kilda just to not score again in this match. We want a game that goes down the wire. Now, I'm sure people that barrack for both teams don't want that, but from a pure spectacle perspective, it's the perfect thing. And here's a really good kick from Zach Dawson that gets over the head of Cox and hits the leading Milne, and he doesn't let him down or let his team down. That's a terrific kick. Now they've got their noses in front, the Saints. So now it's Goddard loose in defence for St Kilda, and that's something that West Coast wouldn't want. Bo Waters loose at the other end.
Cox, palm down. Polo can't really call that a clearance. Umpire says play on. Mark wouldn't have counted. Rosa couldn't trap it. Armitage does. Caught on the kick though. McKenzie gets it up. Prittis, Selwood, Goddard. There's that spare man.
Yeah, you got to be careful when you're going forward. You just can't kick it straight to Brendan Goddard. What he does do is he reads the play well and he uses the ball particularly well.
Fisher held up by Naitanui. Gilbert held up by Ebert. Good kick though, releases Kazetsky, who hasn't seen it for a while. Started well with a couple of goals in the opening term. Been quiet since. Gilbert runs, got it from Graham, gave it up to Clark. Sidestepped, went back to Graham.
And they're clever little kicks. They maintain possession. They give themselves an opportunity. Here he is again.
To Clark again. He can go long. Milne's on the move. Front spot, Selwood. Kick was poor. Milne had to hold up. Prittis. No one comes at him. Gives him time and space. Kennedy's the target. Dawson and Goddard. Kennedy got hands on it. Fantastic contest. Tied up in there. That's a win for Kennedy.
Yeah, terrific effort. 1 against 2. Did well, Josh Kennedy.
Just seen Gamble throw a boot to the boundary line. Nick Del Santos threw it back to him from about 20 metres away on the field, Chase.
Which way is this going? To Cox.
Almost.
Benefit of the doubt.
One of those paid 50 this year.
Yeah. Cox to Gaff, who started the fire in the third term. Not going to play into the St Kilda defenders' hands by just cooking up long. Schofield to Hearn. Kazitsky, fantastic contest. Stephen to Goddard. He's got Rewalt short. Bounces it to him, made it tough for the big man. Slips a handball up, missed the target. Cut off. McKenzie overruns it. Stephen back onto it. Looks up, he's got Milne. He ignored him. Still got Milne. Still ignores him. And smothered out of play by Andrew Gaff.
Gee, Justin Kazitsky was good at half-back a moment ago. It looked to be a kick to Hearn's advantage. He had 2 teammates loose 5 metres further afield. Kazitsky pushed back, caused a sprawl, and brought the ball forward importantly.
Polo through some traffic. Peak. Cox. Shuey. Gang tackled illegally.
Now, can they break? Have they got the run?
Stevens. He's their sub, Kobe Stevens.
Got to go to Schofield.
Comes back up the middle.
Rosa. So they're one tall down up forward with Darling off for the game. Prittis. Both teams have used their sub. Prittis makes it tough. Schneider is tough. Stood in the hole, took a good strong grab.
You're always in trouble of going back into traffic when you kick the ball near the bench area, because there are about 2 or 3 changes made by both sides in the 10 or 20 seconds prior to that passage of play.
Gilbert's got Clark out wide. He wants Clark to run. He drives the kick in his direction, and he spent it before he'd earned it. Trouble, knocks it back to Peak, who mops up his mess. Dawson. Held up by Nikoski. Fisher. Scott Selwood comes at him. Schneider. No free man. Stephen. Splendid pass.
Yeah, it was.
Rewalt's inside 50. He goes wider. Montagna beaten by Glass. Not the best option. Rosa. Trouble. McKenzie. Glass. Rosa. There's some poise. Gaff. Some time to use it.
Oh, that's a super kick too.
Scott Selwood the fumble. Hearn bangs it long. Lynch has got 3 to beat here. Peak runs back. Collects at halfback. Nat Nui corrals him. Gilbert's the get out. Fisher. Tough ball, but he gathered. Smith came at him. Embley came at him. Must be a loose man. Dempster. He was corralled. Fisher. They're under siege, but at least they're in front. Fisher wide. Schofield with the fist. Montagna couldn't get near it. Glass gathers the crumb. No one to go too long. The Schofield wants to set it up. Is that 15? Lynch claims it is.
What numbers behind the ball, the Saints? They haven't managed it well the last couple of times going forward, West Coast. He's got Nat Nui long.
And he puts it in Nat Nui's direction. He won't get near it. Kennedy jumps. Fisher's fist wins.
Be very careful here with Nat Nui hitting the space. Very good at doing that from a stoppage.
James Gwilt crutches. Not good news for the Saints. Good news for the Saints. They're in front by 4. Nikoski almost. Stevens. Did he have Pryor? No. All up. Some more boos ring around Etihad Stadium. Big Saints fans crowd in tonight, and in many ways they're getting their money's worth. I've seen this all before. Nat Nui, something we've ever seen before. He's a godsend.
Well, Jace, you called for it. You wanted to see some Nick Nat Nui magic in this last quarter, and you've just seen it. Out of the ruck, good strength, great second effort. Snapper around the body to put West Coast back in front.
Just the way he hunts the footy is so impressive.
West Coast back in front by 2 points. Over to you, Ross Lyon. John Worsfold. It's a lot more content in his skin than he did this time last year. New contract for him to sign as Nat Nui hacks it forward to Lynch. Not paid the mark.
Touched off the boot.
Almost high on Gilbert. And get a ball up.
He's looking a bit safer in his skin, or whatever you said there, Dwayne, than he was at quarter time when it was 6 goals to 1 point.
But his poise at quarter time was outstanding.
Absolutely it was.
Embley shoots it up to Lacroix. Hasn't been his night, and certainly isn't here. Peak takes off. Bangs it to half forward. Not a lot down there. Rewalt's got a couple to beat. Hearn tracks it to the line.
You're right. The players would have been expecting probably a massive spray at quarter time with their effort in that first quarter. As a coach, to come out and show composure and belief in your systems and your structures, players have responded.
Rewalt couldn't get it. Schofield just reached in and got it before him. Stevens pushed off it by Graham. Fisher. Can he find a chest? He's got one-on-ones. Milled. Almost the trap. Adam Selwood caught high. He dropped into that tackle well.
Yeah, but he did it well. He made the footy his focus. Did the body work on Mill and then focused on the footy and made sure he grabbed it. Once he had it in possession, he was able to control it.
Ton of time left in this. Even. 16 minutes gone, final term.
A long kick option here is Cox versus Goddard.
That's where he goes. Although Kazitsky was the third man up. And he gives to Goddard. Rewald's his target. He's in a one-on-one with Schofield. Off hands. Dempster kicks a goal. Saints back in front.
We're getting some unlikely goal kickers here at the moment. Teams just finding ways to get on the scoreboard. It's turned into a great struggle. We saw Nat Nui kick a ripper at one end. And I thought Schofield did everything right here. He held front position. Was he unlucky not to get a free kick? Well, happy for that to be play on. But Dempster front and square and snapping truly now.
And he's had a good game, Dempster, keeping Andrew Embley to 11 disposals in this game. A player for the West Coast Eagles that has been fantastic for the whole year.
And the ball up. Cox reaches up. Prentice caught by Jones, going nowhere. Saints by 4 points. And Embley has been a key many a time this year. The winning goal last week, so you can't let him loose for a minute. Goddard traps it. Smith to his own advantage. Schneider came at him, worried him enough, although he had some poise. Waters pumps it wide. Shuey. Saints trying to flood back now. Chip. Nikoski.
Cox is pushed down deep. He's got to go long to Cox. He's got to run and jump at the footy.
Nat Nui's direction. He can't get a run at it. And off hands will get a ball in.
See, Dean Cox worked hard to get down there, and it would have been a much better kick back into the corridor rather than deep in the pocket.
Cox, front spot, knocks it down. Shuey, he kicks a goal. Nat Nui across the face. And we'll get a ball in.
One area they have lifted this last quarter of the West Coast, and we know that inside 50s are favouring the Saints, but 12-4 at the stoppages in favour of the West Coast.
Cox again. Couple to beat. Fisher almost had it. Peck does, and he drives a wobbly torpedo to the outer side. Waters gets there first. Gamble. Oh, bounced kindly for him. Waters wrapped him up. Splendid tackle. Dispossessed. Schofield squeezes a kick. Not 15, surely. Prentice paid the mark. Lacroix, he pumps it. And Polo in the hole.
Yeah, another poor kick from Mark Lacroix. Really hasn't used the ball well tonight. And the last 3 or 4 times they've gone inside 50 hasn't been to the advantage of their teammates.
McAvoy finds Schneider. Everybody takes a breath. Saints' whole season could hinge on this. They're making a run. They could be stopped in their tracks by the West Coast. Ball out of play. And the Saints fans.
There's a familiar face. Big buckets. Stewie Lowe enjoying the Saints match.
McAvoy bangs it inside 50, but Hearn was waiting for it. Adam Selwood. He's got his brother running.
Dangerous.
He makes it tough for his brother. Scott can't get there. Gilbert gets there first. Important kick. Hits Rewalt.
He really opened his team up with that kick, Adam Selwood. They wouldn't want to let the Saints kick the next one. If they get a couple of goals in front, they'll just try and shut the last 5 minutes of this match down.
Crowd urging him on. He goes wide to Hearn. Strange kick. And to the open side they come. Cox. Dainty kick to Lacroix. Dawson almost shut him down. That's a splendid grab. Mark Lacroix hasn't been his night, but he made that
Another
his moment. Gaff out on the full, bump on the kick.
But that's the Lacroix kick that puts him under pressure. He should be able to stop, go back and pick his option. Yeah. But
42% Mark Lacroix tonight, right foot.
Poor as I've seen him kick the footy.
Ticking into time on, final term as we speak. Graham floats it up. Rewalt can't get the jump. And that's a great pluck by Stevens.
Very good man.
Fresh man on, that's what you need from your sub.
That's a 1-on-2 that he's kicked at.
Dawson should go and gets.
Their decision-making has let them down in this last term. West Coast, I can't remember the last kick to the advantage of a teammate.
Saints content to bomb it. Rewalt down there, McAvoy down there. Neither get a run at it. Del Santo, can he keep this alive? He was content not to. Nice grab from Saints #1 whipping boy. Back into play. Cocks the palm down to Pritis. Handball smothered. Montagna pumps it back. Revolt's getting back. Goal square. He takes the money. Dropped it off his hands. It would have been a goal had he let it go.
Free kick here against Revolt.
Oh, look at that for a kick.
Turnover. Montagna. Now he needs to be calm.
They've shot themselves in the foot that they're kicking in this 4th term. Eric McKenzie couldn't believe his luck. He gets the free kick and then he just kicks it straight over the head of his teammate, straight to the opposition, and they've pretty much done that for the entire last quarter.
You're right, 78% they were going in the 3rd quarter. They get back into the game. 61% for effective kicks in this last quarter so far.
And this kick massive in the context of their season. And he threads it. Big game player kicks the goal on cue.
Well, he has been a big game player tonight, Lee Montagna. He was the spark in the first quarter.
That's paid for in the back, and look, it's pretty much a good body-on-body battle. But Eric McKenzie, he hasn't done much wrong tonight. He's been terrific against Nick Revolt, but that's just a poor kick. It's cost his team a goal.
"33 possessions for Lee Montagna and 31,400 here at Etihad Stadium on the edge of their seat for this last 5 minutes. McAvoy hacks it to half forward. One more might just about do it for the Saints, and they know it. Smith caught, dispossessed. Milne knows it. He wants to kick the one more. Montagna to peak, maybe for the sealer. Dances around and nails it.
Well, the response from St.Kilda, you certainly got to take your hat off to that. They looked down and out, done and dusted, and to respond the way they have in this last quarter has been very good. On the back of winning the ball and putting this forward pressure on that they certainly lacked for most of that 3rd quarter.
Well, you wouldn't think they'd get beaten from here now. They're very good at closing games down, running down the clock and just sucking the life out of the remainder of matches, and certainly they should do it now. But their ability to kick goals when they needed them, St Kilda, it's something we haven't always seen from them.
3 goals, 4 minutes. That's the equation for the West Coast. Smith gets back. Stevens caught by Revolt and dropped it. Crab wanted a free. Dempster to Gamble, left it behind. Embley gets it up just in time. Waters, wobbly kick. Milne lurking. Rosa, Selwood, back to Rosa, short to Weaver.
Where's the run though? No one to kick to. All you can see is Ben McAvoy.
Take a risk to Nat Nui running through the middle of the ground.
A goal a minute. Otherwise the Saints are on the prowl again. Kick wide. Glass, McKenzie. They just haven't got in their legs right now. To Hearn. No one to go to. Now he floats one long. Hoping for Shuey.
It's not a bad effort.
It's a great mark on Polo. And he takes off. Rosa. Okay, it opens up for him now. Kennedy's on the move. Got out in the hole. Crushed by Kennedy. No free. Ball hits the deck. Towed away by Gilbert. Precious seconds being eaten up by the Saints. Kennedy tries to hack it inside 50. Can't get a shoe on it. Goddard does. Gives it up to Dempster. Bangs it wide. Gamble glass. Got there first, but we're inside 3 minutes now. 16 points to margin. McKenzie.
They haven't got time to do this.
No, they've got to get it going.
Oh, boy.
How are his last two kicks looking?
Milne traps it. His eyes light up, Stevie Milne. Looks up. He's got the man free. Armitage thought about running in. Take 30 seconds off the clock.
Game over.
It's as valuable as the goal.
He's had a horror finish to his night, Eric McKenzie. His last two kicks, unfortunately. One straight over the head of a teammate to Lee Montagna for a goal. And this one, he just stubbed into the ground, which has resulted in a shot for goal for the Saints, just to snuff out any remote hope that they may have had. It's a shame that his game's finished that way, Eric McKenzie, because he's played a really good contest against Nick Riewoldt.
And he squeezed it in just. And for the first time this year, the Saints will win 3 in a row.
Well, West Coast certainly going and getting back into the contest.
Did you see the look on John Worsfold there? He couldn't believe it.
No, they'll have to replace that divot.
They're tired legs, aren't they?
They are, and that's where I was leaning towards, is West Coast spending all that energy getting back into the contest. St Kilda now being able to just finish off the game and this quarter a little bit stronger.
Saints fans, fine voice. They've been crushed more times than is fair over time, the St Kilda fans. They've turned out tonight to see the resurrection continue. McAvoy and Cox. Selwood, Scott, to Prittis. Schofield, back to Prittis. Half forward, Shuey, who hasn't stopped drying. Brendan Lynch. Shuey, back to Lynch. 28 minutes on the clock now, final term. Saints fans look at the board, they know this is theirs. Polo, Schneider, Del Santo, waltzes through. Takes some more seconds off the clock. No need to turn it over. Riewoldt.
You wonder what goes through players' heads at times. Quentin Lynch has the ball. There's only, in their mind, a couple of minutes left. You're 4 goals down. Pump the ball forward. He's trying to go backwards or fashion a hand pass in traffic that, you know, is very long odds on to succeed. Why not just kick it long and at least get it in the dangerous zone where you might be able to score from?
And also, we mentioned West Coast and keeping to their structures. St Kilda in this last quarter have been able to do that as well, especially at the start of the quarter where they get their numbers back. They like getting one loose, which then creates some of that chip around footy around back before they go forward.
All out of play. So not just 3 wins in a row for the Saints, but 3 wins in a row with Adelaide next week here at Etihad Stadium, and then the Gold Coast after that. Well, they are well and truly back in it. Shuey, Smith, he pumps it to Naitanui. Maybe one last hurrah for Naitanui. Couldn't bring it down. Gilbert hands it back. Clark in trouble. Goddard can knock this through. Gilbert. He's had a good night at the office. And there's the roar. The Saints revival continues. A couple of grand finals last year without the result. Horrific start this year. Just 1 win from their first 7 games. But the hot streak is on the road to September for St Kilda. It's been an amazing transformation in this as well. Up by 43 points, conceded the lead, and boy, did they have to dig deep.
Yeah, and look, it is impressive because it looked like their scoring had dried up, and you couldn't imagine how they were going to kick 5 goals in the last term to win the game, let alone, you know, 2 or 3 goals. So it's a fantastic effort by St Kilda. There's James Gwilt, and never great seeing a player on crutches after getting stretchered off with what looks to be a knee injury, and he's out there thinking of his teammates, saying well done, a great win. Well, let's head down onto the ground. Liam Pickering.
Yeah, Joey, a great win. A weird game, though, really. Great start, great finish. Something went disappeared during the middle of the ground.
Yeah, look, terrific first quarter. We came, really out of the focus to play hard and crack in, and we did that. And to Eagles' credit, they're great. They're a really good footy side, and we knew they'd come back, and we lost our way a bit, got a bit disorganised there in those second and third quarters. But to the boys' credit, the digging like we did in the last quarter was terrific.
And your big blokes really struggled. Cozzy had a terrific game, and also big boy McAvoy.
Yeah, look, they're up against Cox and that and Nui, the best ruck combo going around. And Benny Mack's been super for us tonight. Was his real big test, and he did well. And good to have Cozzy back in the side. He just gives us that presence and that big fella that we can kick to.
What was the message at three-quarter time from Ross? Because it did go a bit pear-shaped there in the third quarter.
Yeah, look, we just wanted to try. West Coast in those third quarters, particularly in that Nui, started hitting the ball out long and started getting us on the back foot. So we wanted to try and really keep it tight and in close. And we knew the game would open up last quarter. They always do. So we just had to be a bit composed with the footy and kick some goals.
What about your first quarter? 17 possessions, not a bad way to start.
Yeah, I got off the chain there. And, Nick Del Santo's been super last month, so he was always going to get the attention. And just worked this week that I got off the chain. It was a good team effort, though.
You're building something, mate. Well done.
Yeah, thanks. Thank you.
They certainly are building something, aren't they? 3 on the trot, and as you said before, Dwayne, 2 matches that they'll be short price favourites to win. They should win 5 on the trot now.
And this is the best team they've beaten this year. The Saints have not beaten any of the current top 4 in 2011. Their win today over the 5th spot on the ladder, an ominous sign.
Yeah, and a team that had beaten Geelong and Carlton their last 2 matches, so they were playing the equivalent of a top 4 side. So it's a quality win, particularly given they were headed. West Coast weathered the storm, came back, headed St Kilda, looked for all money like they'd run over the top of them in the last term, but St Kilda, in fact, turned it around, and in the end, a very comfortable win.
Well, St Kilda sneak in. They certainly will. Some sides will be a bit nervous. Don't worry about that.
Final score, a thing of beauty for the Saints fans. 13-4-82 to 9-7-61. A 21-point win. Don't go away. We'll be back to wrap up.